Hello and welcome back to my airline on AirlineSim, British Atlantic Airways. And it's been again about a week or so since my last episode, and basically not a lot's happened. And the reason for that is I was actually on holiday with my family. We went to Disneyland for a few days. I did let British guys know that the reason why I wasn't online as much is because I was going on holiday, and then he told me he was going on holiday. So we've both had a bit of a time off the game. So came at a good time um, because of a few things, and the main things that I need to go over today in this episode um, is the demand on the server. The global demand is getting quite low again, and fuel prices are going up due to the war in Iran, unfortunately. And the way my airline's going to be in the near future as well, the way my sort of planning, there's going to be some things coming up in my life which will probably take me away from the game a bit more. So I need to be a bit more strategic about my time with this airline. So first things first, I'll just sort of run down what's happened since. So me and British guys made our Manchester base, and I've got all the main routes sorted there. I've got 800 departures a week. He's got 400. I'm sure he'll come and catch me up at some point. But Airlines went bankrupt, and we've taken over Manchester now. I think he's got Birmingham as well. And when I was away on holiday, of course, I basically didn't play for about 6 days, 7 days. And I basically ordered 26. This is 25 now. 26 Airbus A320 Neos, 21 Neos, and this ties into how my airline's going to be going in the future. So I've got a few planes here to schedule, which I'm going to be doing over the next couple of days, and then from then on, I'm literally just going to be, I'm going to get a 321 Neo every day, basically, new off the factory, and I'll just be scheduling them. Now, going back to the reasons for this is I'm not going to be buying 50 planes from the market anymore, because going forward, I won't have the time to sit down and put 3 hours into scheduling anymore. So if I can come online for an hour or so a night and schedule a couple of Airbus A321s that have been delivered in the last few days, that's much more manageable. Number two, the demand on the servers going through the floor. So where do we see the markets and exchanges? So you see this graph here. This is the AirlineSim Global Index, and it simulates real world demand. I don't know if it's based off real world, but it's meant to simulate real world demand where there's peaks and downturns. Of course, seasonal demand, if things happen like the COVID pandemic, that sort of thing, is meant to sort of give you an idea of, the demand for air travel at the moment based on, various factors, the economy, that sort of thing. So if you see up here, when it's at, 1,000, that basically means that there's huge demand. Like, people are going everywhere, people flying on flights, and it's dropped from 1,000 down to 800, which has resulted in, for me, about a 5 to 10% drop in load factor. I'm recording this at midnight, basically. So this was my statistics last week. So 86% load factor. So within a month, my load factor's gone from about 95% down to 86%, and that's mainly due to Ajax. That's not because of competition. That's not because of anything like that. Me and British guys aren't treading on each other's toes yet. But yeah, so that's just because the global demand's down. And during these periods, airlines on AirlineSim that don't plan ahead can find themselves struggling and going bankrupt. On top of that is the fuel prices. So let me just. This is a very long graph. Now that doesn't look dramatic, but it's been sort of between sort of 25 and 28 like that, and then it's just shot up here to over 30. Now it doesn't sound like a lot, but that sort of 10% jump can sort of hit your bottom line by several £1 million. It can be the difference between making 20 million profit in 5 million profit. It really can cripple airlines on this game that don't plan ahead for it. If you see here, so it was 24, now got so it's gone up by like 50%, basically, just under 50% in a month, and we all know why that is, and that is based off real world figures as well. That is real world figures, and that's because of the war in the Middle East, of course. So I'm going to schedule all these, and then it's going to be, some of these A321s might just replace older A321s if I can't be bothered to schedule them. So it's going to be a mixture of replacing the old A321s and CEOs. So that's basically that. I have scheduled a few more flights to Germany because a German airline went bankrupt. It wasn't one of the bigger ones. It was somebody called Fly Germany, but some slots came available at certain airports that were basically full. So I've added a few more flights to like Hamburg, Frankfurt, Munich, Stuttgart, Dortmund, Dusseldorf, out of Gatwick and Heathrow in the last few days. That's why this has gone up now to nearly 2.4 thousand departures per week at Gatwick. My Gatwick hub is doing brilliantly. I'm very happy with that, as you guys know. So another thing I was thinking of is, and something that was pleasantly surprising, and I'm sure if British Guys is watching, he can appreciate this as well, is, so I've got, including these on order here, I've got 340 planes. And British Guys, I think, has got about 275. Okay. So we're both getting quite large now. And this sort of, I don't know if it's fear or sort of dampening my enjoyment for the game a little bit, it was starting to come out, because I sort of think to myself, well, eventually, how much bigger can me and British Guys get before the British market's saturated and we're just eating into each other's breakfast, into each other's profits? When does it get to a point where we're too big for each other? You can't fit the two of us in the UK market. So I did a bit of research, and I went to ChatGPT and I went to Wikipedia and stuff just to cross-reference everything. And I asked it to give me every airline based in the UK that has active flights, and is a proper airline that does passengers, not talking about these little charter airlines that fly business jets, proper UK-based airlines. And I think it came up with all the ones you're thinking of: Virgin, British Airways, EasyJet, Jet2, TUI, all of them lot. It even added in the 3 cargo airlines. You've got DHL UK, you've got FedEx UK, and something else. It had Titan Airways in there, Logan Air, that sort of thing. I think it was about 15 airlines that Britain has. And I asked it to add up all their fleets and tell me what the number of aircraft it was. And it came out at 1,050 planes, right? So I was like, oh, right, okay. So with that sort of information, me and British guys could probably double in size before the market gets saturated based off real life figures. However, that doesn't take into account Ryanair. Now, Ryanair UK, when I was looking at the ChatGPT list, it listed it all out for me. It said like Ryanair had 15 planes, but Stansted in real life has 15 Ryanair planes an hour going in and out of there. Like, it's a huge hub. So I asked it to go around all the UK, find out how many Ryanair flights are, and sort of come up with a sort of figure about how many Ryanair planes are actually based in the UK outside of their subsidiary, including Buzz and all that lot. And it came up with a figure of about 350. So, in fact, if you add that on, excuse me, if you add that on, the amount of planes that are actively based in the UK is about 1,400 to 1,500, which means me and British guys could basically nearly triple in size before we are saturated the market. Now, bearing in mind that 1,500 figure in real life doesn't take into account airlines like KLM who fly everywhere, and there's Norwegian and SAS and all these planes that obviously they're not based in the UK, but they are still a part of the market. So really, I would say us and British guys could probably get away with we could probably be about 1,000 planes each before it gets too big for the both of us. So we've got plenty of time before it gets to that point, which is quite exciting. And I was sort of thinking to myself, what else can I do outside of just being an airline based in the UK? And I'm definitely going to do a cargo subsidiary. And my cargo subsidiary, it's not going to be like British Atlantic Cargo. I'll create a brand new brand. It'll be owned by British Atlantic Airways, but it'll be like a global cargo airline. I will eventually do that when I have a bit more money. Also, if you look at United Kingdom, you can actually have like Bermuda, and if you go back here, like Cayman Islands and things like this. So I could do a small Caribbean airline as well. That could be a little bit of a side project I could do. I know there's an airline in Bermuda in real life, like Bermuda Air, I think. Cayman Islands, Virgin British Islands, these sort of islands could be quite fun to do. And then I want to do a leasing company as well, which I've never really done before, where I lease out planes for money. So there's a lot of there is a lot of options to do just to keep yourself busy after you get to that point where you've got 1,000 planes and you're making lots of money. And the cargo airline is the main one for me. I've never done it. I've never been successful at it. It's very difficult to do. But I will create a large amount of money and I will do it eventually. In terms of competition other than British Skies, I think there has been a couple of airlines start up, but I'm not really convinced, really. So there's Aurora Atlantic, which I think is literally set up as I've been on this recording this video based at Stansted. Nathan. It'll be interesting to see if he sticks around. There's been a few of these sort of newer players that sort of come and then they set up and then they just don't do anything. So, until some of these airlines have been going for a bit longer, I'm not really going to be that fussed by them at the moment. There's an airline called Daft Airline, DAPH. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Sorry, that sounds a bit silly. Where are they? Here, Daft Airlines. And they set up a little while ago. They set up, what day is it? They set up 10 days ago, and they've not added a single plane yet. So it's kind of like, they put effort into the logo and everything, and a lovely description, but then they've done nothing since. When's the last time they were even online? The 9th. Do you know what I mean? They're not any competition really. Yeah, as you can see from the previous page as well. If I go back here, these are all the airlines based in United Kingdom. So you got a Stansted. He's founded literally today, I think. There's me, British Atlantic Airways. I've got my A220s, my A320s, A321s here that are yet to be delivered, my XLRs. And there's my A350s. Here's British Sky's fleet. He's going for more of the regional fleet. I'm probably not going to bother matching him on the smaller routes. He could probably do that himself. I don't feel like I need to compete at that sort of level in the Embraer 175s with him, so he can have that market. He's got his A320s, and then his long haul 757s, which everyone loves a good 757. There's Celtic Crossair that was set up as well. There's Daft, there's East Wings that's up at Stansted again. Hog Airways, and then there's this international cargo airline. I've not really followed that much, to be honest. I think it's more of a global airline, but yeah. So to summarise, not a lot's happened. The whole server's feeling the pressure of the fuel prices and the lower demand in air travel. Me and British guys have got a lot of growing room left to do, so we can do that. And I will be slowing down my growth. I won't be buying 30, 40 planes to schedule all at once going forward. I'm going to be buying new from the factory and just drip feeding planes and just scheduling here and there. And I'm going to be slowly replacing my A321 CEOs as well with some of these planes here. Not all of them, but some of them will be replaced. On my trip to Paris recently, I flew out on EasyJet A320 CEO and flew back on a Neo, and the difference in comfort, especially on the noise of the engines between the new engines on the Neo, was really noticeable. So that's sort of given me a bit more of a passion to retire my CEOs on my airline. So thank you for watching. It's been a bit of a sort of boring episode, not a lot going on. My next episode, I will probably do something. I'll probably do some scheduling. I'll probably open a new base. I'll probably do something a little bit more exciting. But this was just more of just a quick update video. Everything's been slow. British guys not been doing anything. They've been away. I've been away. So yeah, thank you for watching. I gained a few subscribers last video. And my last video got over 200 views, which is fantastic. Thank you very much. And if you have liked, do subscribe if you haven't. and press the like button. It actually makes the video go a lot further on the algorithm. So thank you very much. Bye bye. Take care.